lovely evening and thank you for watching Times News. You're with me, Elita Soko. First, the headlines. An audit of funds amounting to 17.5 billion kwacha meant for the fight against COVID-19 has begun. Parliament is in the process of cleaning the Labour Relations Bill to incorporate the amendments made in the last meeting. And CSOs and rights groups support the amendment of the Legal Aid Act. We have these and other stories. Do stay tuned. The National Audit Office has started auditing funds amounting to 17.5 billion kwacha meant for the fight against COVID-19. Spokesperson for the office, Rapson Gagwaminga, has confirmed the development. This comes after the organization in February completed another audit of 6.2 billion kwacha. The audit has started after government said it had no money for any more audits on the utilization of COVID-19 funds. The audit report of the first 6.2 billion kwacha revealed how public officers were implicated in the misuse of funds. The 17.5 billion kwacha was released by Treasury in January this year after the 6.2 billion kwacha had already been misused. Now, Parliament says it is in the process of cleaning the Labour Relations Bill to incorporate the amendments that the August House made in the last meeting. Parliament Chief Public Relations Officer Ian Mwenye says the process is being done in collaboration with Ministry of Justice and Constitution. The bill is one of the three, including Parliamentary Service Commission and employment bills that were not sent to President Lazarus Chakwera for assent. Audrey Kabalamula reports.
The Labour Relations Bill brought controversy among civil servants and all working groups who described the amendments as not realistic. Among others, the bill has Section 46, which has been amended to grant an employer the right to deduct wages of an employee who is on strike. Malawi Congress of Trade Unions led protest against the bill, saying the Ministry of Labour did not consult them for the proposed amendments. 2 months after Parliament passed the bill, Chief Public Relations Officer Mwenye says the bill is now going through the cleaning process.
For example, when there are amendments to a bill, this assent copy will have to reflect those amendments which members of the House have made to a bill. In this case, I should explain that we have one or two bills which we as Parliament we are still working on with our colleagues from the Ministry of Justice.
Other bills include Parliament Service Commission and Employment Bill. Passing of the bill forced the Judiciary Members of Staff Union to seek a judicial review of the matter, which the High Court in Blantyre dismissed. After the order, the union's spokesperson Andy Haliwa then said they would resort to other court remedies if Chakwera assents to the law. President Chakwera assented to 11 bills that Parliament passed in the last meeting.
Meanwhile, Parliament has started reviewing laws which favour the girl child at the expense of male children. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Social Welfare, Savo Gafafa, disclosed this when the committee held a policy dialogue with children in Blantyre. Gafafa said it does not make sense that, for example, only a male child is arrested and in some cases imprisoned for engaging in sexual activities with a fellow child. Jameson Jaoluka reports.
Recent judgments coming from courts of law in defilement cases when a boy child has sex with a female child have brought mixed reactions among the public. The louder voice, however, is that it is unfair for the police to arrest the boy child only, saying they are both children and simply experimenting their sexual prowess. Kafafa said his committee has taken note of the concerns and is looking at ways to rectify the problem.
The typical example is about the teenage pregnancies happening all around us. It looks whenever a teenage boy impregnates a teenage girl, the boys are the ones who are being arrested, while not understanding that all of them are children. So if a teenage boy is involved in any sort of law breaking, we needed to make sure that we should bring in a level ground for the punishments or whatever rehabilitation services that we want to implement. As a result, at the moment, we are working on the amendment of the laws which don't really coordinate. We call it, this exercise is called the harmonization of some laws in Malawi which contradict each other. These pieces of legislation are around 23, and so whenever we are working on this, we want to also include issues which are to deal with the balancing up the issues to do with how we handle a male child who has been involved in teenage sex or in pregnancies, and again the girl.
During the dialogue, the children raised a number of challenges, including shortage of classrooms and learning materials, the need to revisit education curriculum, and forced marriages. One of the children, Susan Maseko, says these challenges are posing a threat to their future.
The challenges which we are facing as children, we are facing so many challenges which may include we are being left.
Rebecca Ngombo concurs with Maseko, saying government must find ways of addressing the problems as soon as possible.
Now, civil society organizations and human rights groups have shown support for the amendment of the Legal Aid Act in order to facilitate justice for vulnerable groups such as those in rural areas. This follows concerns that the Legal Aid Bureau's paralegal officers are not allowed to represent poor people who lack legal representation in the courts. Feston Malegezo has filed this report, read by Patience Lunda.
At the moment, the Bureau has a backlog of over 24,000 cases that need to be handled by 25 lawyers, translating into over 900 cases per lawyer. Some of the groups that are in support of the amendment of the Act include Church and Society of the CCP Synod of Livingstonia, Human Rights Defenders Coalition, and Youth and Society, who have made their point during a public hearing on access to justice with focus on legal representation by vulnerable people organized by the Parliamentary Legal Affairs Committee in Mzuzu on Thursday. Moses Mkandawire, Executive Director of Church and Society, said it becomes extremely hard for people in rural areas to access justice due to the absence of legal representation, hence the need to amend the Legal Aid Bureau Act.
We would want to ensure that the majority who are poor people, they have good access to justice. The majority of Malawians, 85% live in rural areas. They depend on agriculture, and their levels of income are terribly low, and that their incomes too are seasonal in nature, in the sense that they will always find money when they have harvested.
Representing HRDC, Hape Mhango said access to justice is a fundamental human right and should not be compromised. Mhango called on the Bureau to scale up to other institutions that have paralegals, such as Malawi Police Service and Anti-Corruption Bureau, but have limited rights. According to Masauko Chankakara, Director of Legal Aid Bureau, amending the Act will give additional hands to the Bureau to handle many cases that the Bureau is currently handling.
Currently, we have a total of about 24,000 cases with the Bureau, and these are spread across almost every corner of the country.
Meanwhile, Peter Dimba, chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs, said he's hoping that after the Lilongwe meeting next Thursday, the committee will have a resolution on the matter to be presented to Parliament.
The reason we came here is basically to solicit views from the stakeholders, those that were affected or will be affected by the law when it's actually passed in Parliament. So basically this is part of the legislative process.
Earlier, Malawi Law Society said amending the Act could lower legal standards when locally and internationally they are close to up standards of legal practice. Paralegals, who are also called legal aid assistants, are holders of certificates or diplomas in law and in some cases degrees, but are not admitted to the bar.
Former Malawi National Examinations Board MANEB Executive Director Gerald Chiunda and 3 other MANEB officials have again denied charges leveled against them in the exams leakage case. The other 3 are the board's head of security Owen Kuntho, Chief Examinations Development Officer Ishmael Faki and Chief Examination Security Officer Joseph Chilombe. The four are in court following the leakage of last year's MSCE examinations. Our reporter Jason Maloa has this report read by Mandi Bondani.
Chief Resident Magistrate Austin Banda last Friday ordered the state to produce fresh amended charge sheets which state lawyer Trevor Mphalali was able to present in the court. According to the new charge sheet, Chiunda is now answering the 2 counts while the other 3 are answering a single count each. They have all denied the charges, which are contrary to the Manebo Act. Mphalali told the court that the state was not ready to start parading its witnesses due to reasons beyond their control. However, Counsel Alfred Lungu, who is representing Chiunda and Faki, has asked the court to allow them to appreciate the security system with Manebo. Meanwhile, Chief Resident Magistrate Banda has since ordered Lungu to have the application in written form and submit it to the state by September 8th this year. He has also ordered the state to respond to the application by September 13th this year. Banda has since adjourned the matter until further notice.
The African Water Association, AFWA, has asked stakeholders in water and sanitation sectors to work together to bring sanity for the delivery of services in the country. Director of Programs at AFWA, Simeon Kenfak, said this on Friday in Lilongwe during the launch of the citywide Inclusive Pan-African Sanitation, or CWIS, program. Here is a report by Emmanuel Simpokolwe, read by Matthews Kasanda.
Kenfak says there is a connection between drinking water and sanitation services. The program, which has brought together key stakeholders in water and sanitation, will benefit people from Lilongwe, Blantyre, Zuzu, Salima, Zomba and Kasungu through improving the monitoring of the drinking water quality.
The approach is to benchmark, to peer utility to utility or municipality to municipality for a mentorship approach. So the utility or the municipality performing better in an area, and in this case this is sanitation, should mentor the utility willing to or the municipality willing to improve.
Deputy Director of Local Government Services in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, Douglas Nkweta, says the program would address sewage challenges which people usually complain about.
And if we continue to operate in silos, we can't achieve what we want to achieve. And what we want to do is that each stakeholder, including the private operators, these ones who go and empty septic tanks, pit latrines and so on, we should work together. We should never have a situation like we had in Area 18, where each one of the key stakeholders was operating without the other stakeholder knowing the collaborative efforts that were supposed to be there.
AFWA is a professional association of establishments, enterprises and utilities operating in the areas of drinking water, sanitation and environment in Africa.
You're watching the news on Times TV. We'll be back with more shortly.
Mona Malawi anzanga, nkhondo yogonjetsa COVID-19 ndiye wina aliyense. Tili limodzi. Ine ndinasankha kulandira katemera wa COVID-19 atangoyamba kuperekedwa. Chifukwa monga namwino, moyo wanga, umoyo wa odwala amene ndimawasamalira, abale anga, ndi dera langa, ndi zinthu zomwe ndimazika pa mtima panga kwambiri. Katemera wa COVID-19 anditeteza ine ndi ena omwe analandira katemerayo ku chiopsezo choti tingadwale mwakayakaya, kugonekedwa mchipatala, kapena kutaya moyo wathu chifukwa cha COVID-19. Kulandira katemerayo kutithandiza kuthana ndi mliri wa COVID-19 limodzi.
Ziwani zambiri za katemerayo ndi kupanga chisankho cha nzeru. Sankhani katemera, tetezani tsogolo.
Munthu mmodzi payekha sangamange mudzi. Koma anthu angapo kubwera pamodzi timati uwu nde mudzi. Pamodzi tili ndi kuthekera kobweretsa chitukuko mdera lathu. Network yathu ya Chimalawi ya TNM yakhala ikuthandiza madera ambiri mu njira zosiyanasiyana. Komano pano TNM ikufuna kupitiriza ntchitoyi mogwirizana ndi ife eni ake amudzi. Ndi nkani yabweretsa TNM mudzi wathu. Mukagwiritsa ntchito TNM poimba foni, kutumiza ma SMS, kugwiritsa ntchito internet, kapena kugwiritsa ntchito mpamba, chaka chilichonse TNM idzipereka 1% kapena 1 kwacha pa 100 kwacha iliyonse ya ndalama zomwe yapanga kuti ithandizire pa chitukuko chomwe anthu akufuna mdera lawo. Tikabwera pamodzi ndi kugwirizana chimodzi, tikhoza kupanga zazikulu m'mudzi wathu. TNM mudzi wathu. Umodzi unamanga mtolo. Ndondomeko zidzatsatidwa.
Welcome back. Students at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, MUBAS, have been challenged to utilize knowledge gained to transform the country. The remarks were made during an Education and Media Studies Symposium organized by final year students. Isaac Salima with the details in this report.
Students who have been studying technical education, education in business studies, business communication, and journalism are in the final year of their education. The students organized the symposium to showcase part of the knowledge and skills they have acquired at the school. Speakers during the day had one word in common of challenging the students to be agents of change. In his speech, Malawi Broadcasting Corporation Director General George Kasavula urged the students to prove their capabilities to prospective employers, singling out journalism career as about one's potential, not necessarily papers. Guest of honor at the event, George Chitera, who is acting FDH Bank General Manager, said the students should not expect to be employed, but also create employment opportunities.
This is a wonderful group, disciplined group. Looking at the presentations they made today, it clearly shows that they've gone through that process. They've gone through the entire process and they've acquired the knowledge and ready to go into the market. But what I can say to them, as I already said in my presentation, is to say they should think outside the box. They shouldn't just think about employment.
Business communication student Tokozile Magawa said they are ready for challenges out there.
It's been challenging. It's been a roller coaster, I would say. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, but all in all, I thank God because He's led me through. I have a supportive family, supportive friends. I've met the best classmates, and it's been really great with everybody by my side helping me throughout my academic journey. My expectations out there are just that I would grow and bloom in this field of communication.
The event was held under a theme, Technology and Innovation, the hub of an educated, informed, and economically developed nation.
Authorities at the Copyright Society of Malawi, COSOMA, in the northern region, have confiscated close to 50 desktop computers that were used for piracy in Mzuzu City. COSOMA's Assistant Licensing Officer for the region, Dick Kachibande, said the majority of the gadgets owners were in the business of transferring music without licenses. Sam Galimira reports.
Artists in the northern region have been complaining of piracy, saying they do not benefit from their sweat. This prompted COSOMA to embark on an exercise of flashing out people who are multiplying and selling pirated artworks. Kachibande said piracy has been a huge challenge in the northern region.
What we have seen is our normal exercise, which we carry out as the Copyright Society of Malawi. We always make sure that the creators, they should benefit from their sweat. So what happens is that there are some other people who transfers music from one gadget to the other, which is illegal. So what we advise actually these people is that they should have a copyright license from COSOMA, which mandates them to do that business.
One of the musicians, Pastor Blessings Kabanda, commended COSOMA for the initiative, but asked the regulatory body to go even in rural areas.
COSOMA otu ali kukoza nditu ifananga si muntu kuti
COSOMA is doing right, confiscating those pirated artistic materials, because for one to record his or her works, he spent a lot of money, so reaping from someone's sweat is not good at all.
So,
COSOMA is mandated by the Copyright Act of 2016 to disburse royalties as payment to rightful authors or owners of rights for use of their work where prior authorization was granted.
COVID-19. Amid the latest wave of COVID-19 infections, less than 1% of people in Africa's most populated country, Nigeria, have been fully vaccinated against the virus. Nigerian authorities are scrambling for more vaccines, but say misinformation and myths are discouraging uptake. The VOA's Timothy Obiezu looks at efforts to dispel the rumors in this report from the capital, Abuja.
Music and jingles in the air addressing one problem: misinformation about the coronavirus vaccine. Here in this camp for displaced people, many have been misled by a viral social media video that portrayed vaccines as a microchip with magnetic qualities. Helen Woko and her team are on a mission to address this problem.
The records we get on the people who have been vaccinated in Nigeria, the percentage is too low compared to, what we're supposed to get. Then we said, let's start from this vulnerable group. These are people who are in an enclosed place.
Woko is the executive director of Aish Initiative, a non-profit focusing on promoting vaccine uptake and humanitarian education. To achieve its goals, the organization is partnering with the Ministry of Health and the National Orientation Agency and is reaching vulnerable groups in rural areas where authorities say it is most needed. Agnes Bartholomew was at the Abuja camp sensitization program and says she will take the job.
They bring her, we'll still take her.
If they bring it, I'll take it. But they said they've not brought it. That's what we're waiting for.
Fewer than 1% of Nigerians have so far received complete jabs against the coronavirus, an awfully low mark when matched against the 40% authorities were aiming for this year. Officials of the Nigerian CDC say even though the country is yet to acquire sufficient vaccines, myths and misinformation are also to blame for the slow uptake.
We've been noticing that there are challenges around immunity. There are rumors around the fact that natural immunity is better than the vaccination immunity. And then there are also challenges around what the vaccine does when it gets to the body.
Nigeria is seeing a new surge in coronavirus cases and fatalities caused by the deadly Delta variant. The official number of cases stands at 193,000, low compared to many other countries, but the number is rising fast. Authorities say vaccination is the only way to ensure safety and that the country needs to vaccinate 70% of its 200 million people to achieve herd immunity. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
And that's the news tonight, but before we go, the headlines again. An audit of funds amounting 17.5 billion kwacha meant for the fight against COVID-19 has begun. Parliament is in the process of cleaning the Labour Relations Bill to incorporate the amendments made in the last meeting. And CSOs and rights groups support the amendment of the Legal Aid Act. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, You may like our Facebook page Times 360 Malawi and follow us on Twitter at Times 360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Please stay safe. You've been with me, Elita Soko.